Let's continue our discussion on branding. Last class, we did have an introductory discussion on the concept of branding. And I did mention it to you that brand can be a name, it can be a term, it can be a design, it can be a symbol, it can be a logo, or any other feature that helps one marketer to distinctively identify himself amongst buyers. So brand should technically represent the identity of the marketer. So it should enable the buyers to easily recognize who's the marketer. So it represents the identity, right? So that's an important aspect of brand. But brand does also have some of the intangible aspects. Now, one of the important intangible aspect is its identity. So how you want your customers to identify your brands as, how do you want your customers to relate your brand to a specific aspect. So that is what brand positioning is. So in brand positioning, basically you're trying to design your brand's identity and how you want that identity to be perceived by your customers. So each brand has its positioning aspect, which is hidden, right? Only the consumer probably will be able to translate what it is. But marketers do try to position their brand in a certain way in the minds of the customers. So all of us have, in fact, certain type of positioning being done about all the brands which we generally encounter. So all of us have that positioning in our mind. So when I say Tata Nano, the positioning done by Tata was that it was a poor man's car. It was a 1 lakh rupees car. So that is how people perceived it as. People perceived it as a cheap, cost effective, low cost car. So that was the positioning done by the company. And in fact, people broke this further down and perceived it as a very cheap, low value car, even though the company actually wanted to position it as a budget friendly, affordable car, but people perceived it as a cheap car. So there was some sort of a mismatch. So there was some communication gap between how a brand wanted to position itself and how people ended up perceiving it as. So this should not happen. Both should match. The way a marketer wants to position and the way customers perceive it, both should be equal. But in case of Tata Nano, yes, something went wrong in communicating the positioning statement. So every brand signifies certain value, certain statement. So we'll just briefly we'll look at this video which talks us about what different brands represent and how they want to position themselves as.
Adidas, Apple, BMW, Coca-Cola, Toyota. We see these famous brands everywhere, but never consider what their logos mean exactly. But every line, curve, and color has meaning behind it. Most of them were designed to indicate something much more than simple beauty. Curious to know? Watch the 16 famous logos with a hidden meaning you've never noticed. Number 16. Hyundai. Many people think that the logo of the South Korean company Hyundai is simply the first letter of its name. In fact, the letter H symbolizes two people, a client and a representative of the company, shaking hands. That's very thoughtful. Number 15. Adidas. The name Adidas is derived from that of its founder, Adolf Dassler. The company's logo has changed over time, but it has always included 3 stripes. The current logo is 3 stripes at an angle which together form a triangle. This symbolizes a mountain, which in turn represents the challenges that all sportsmen have to overcome day after day. Number 14, Apple. Rob Janoff, the designer who came up with the world-famous Apple Company logo, explained his idea in one of his interviews. He bought a bag of apples, placed them in a bowl, and spent time drawing them for a week, trying to break the image down into something simple. Taking a bite out of an apple was part of the experiment. Completely by coincidence, he realized that bite sounded exactly the same as the computer term bite. Isn't this guy top of his field? Number 13, VAIO. The first two letters of the VAIO logo symbolize an analog wave. The last two are similar to the numbers 1 and 0. That is, symbols of a digital signal. Number 12, Amazon. At first glance, Amazon's logo appears to be nothing special. However, it was designed with the company's philosophy in mind. The orange arrow is similar to a smile because the company wants its customers to be satisfied. The arrow is also stretched between the letters A and Z in a hint that the company sells absolutely every product you can imagine. Number 11, Baskin-Robbins. The pink-colored parts of the BR section make up the number 31, which is how many ice cream flavors Baskin-Robbins used to famously sell. Have you tried them all? Number 10, Toyota. Many people compare the logo of this Japanese car producer to an image of a cowboy wearing a hat. In fact, it represents a stylized image of a needle eye with a thread passing through it. This is a hint at the company's past. They used to produce weaving machines. However, the individual parts of the logo also spell out the letters of the company's name. Number 9, Continental. Continental, a famous car tire producer, has a logo in which the first two letters depict a car wheel. Yeah, everything genial is simple. Number 8, Formula One. If you look carefully at the white space between the letter F and the red stripes, you can see the number 1. The red stripes are also meant to be a graphical representation of the high speed of Formula One cars. Number 7, Pinterest. On Pinterest, people collect images they like from across the internet and pin them to their online boards. That's why the image of a pin is hidden in the letter P. Simple and clear. Number 6, Beats. Beats, an audio equipment producer based in the USA, uses a logo in which the letter B looks like headphones on a person's head. Less definitely means more. Number 5, Toblerone. Toblerone, the famous chocolate company based in Bern, Switzerland, has a silhouette of a bear in its logo. That's because Bern is sometimes called a city of bears. You can see a lot of these animal figures throughout the town, in fountains, at the clock tower, and even on buildings. Number 4, BMW. They say that the central part of the logo symbolizes the rotating blades of an airplane, which is linked to the company's early history of aviation technology. In fact, it is simply a part of the Bavarian flag, the area of Germany where the company originated. Number 3, LG. The logo of this South Korean electronics company is a stylized image of a person's face. According to the company, this represents its aspiration to have ordinary human relations with their customers. Number 2, Evernote. We all know that elephants have impressive memories. They can remember both faces and events. That's why Evernote, a note-taking application, uses this animal as part of the logo. The corner of the elephant's ear is folded over in a similar way how people fold the corner of a page to make notes. Number 1, Coca-Cola. In the Coca-Cola logo, in the space between the letters O and L, you can clearly see the Danish flag. It's purely a coincidence. Nevertheless, Coca-Cola has used this as part of its marketing campaigns in the Scandinavian country.
Okay, so every company's brand image or logo or symbol has a lot of meaning. So they are not just randomly designed. It is carefully crafted and certainly has a lot of meaning behind it. Perhaps people can also visit our college website, and in our college website you will find under About Us section a complete detailed writing on the logo of your college, what each aspect of your college logo represents. So probably that you can take it as an activity and see what your college logo means, right? So certainly these names are not just randomly designed, as I mentioned. It communicates certain value which the company is entirely built on. So let's continue our discussion on
Pinterest,
branding decisions. So at the time of finalizing the brand name, the marketer has various options when it comes to designing a brand. So we are about to go through the various strategies available at the disposal of the marketers as to how they want to represent their brand. So some of these options we will be going through now detailing. The first one is called multi-brand. Now, the second one is called corporate brand. Likewise, you have individual, range branding, private branding, and generic branding. Invariably, we use products in our day-to-day life, which either has any of these aspects attached to it as a branding strategy. So first, let's begin with the corporate branding and see what corporate branding means and how effective is this so-called corporate branding strategy. So corporate branding refers to use of company's name as product brand name in order to associate the credibility of the established company's name to the product. So that's how the corporate branding is done. So corporate branding, the name of the company and the name of the product remains same. Unlike most of the companies use different aspects. I mean, corporate name and brand name or product name will not be the same. It changes. But here in case of corporate branding strategy, all the products manufactured by the company will represent its corporate identity. So example, when you buy any product of Reliance, you would have noticed that any product offered by Reliance starts with Reliance, right? That's how it used to be. And likewise, Tata, whether it is car, whether it is software, whether it is steel, whether it is salt, whether it is spices, right? So more or less, most of the products offered by Tata starts with the name, corporate name, or the brand. The brand name is same as the corporate name. So in case if a company is following this strategy advocates that the company should leverage its corporate identity and have the same identity for all its products, right? So that is how this corporate branding works. So a marketer can advertise several of its products under single brand name. So since only a single brand name is used in corporate branding, sometimes this is also referred to as family branding or umbrella branding, which means the entire range of products and services offered by a company has only one single name, or we can also say the family name, right? So usually people like us individuals, we also want to carry the legacy of our family. So we all generally have this tendency, especially in the Indian context and even in other countries also, to have our surname, which is almost same, right? So that's basically a family name. So we all of us associate our name with a family name. So similar kind of principle is followed here in corporate branding. You have the same name for all the products. So that's the reason sometimes it is also referred to as family branding or umbrella branding, which means all the products comes under the umbrella of the same brand, the corporate brand. So corporate branding, sometimes it is referred to as family branding also. Sometimes it is referred to as umbrella branding also. So what's the logic behind this? Why a company wants to use the same corporate identity for all the products? I mean, in what way does it make sensible? The answer is it makes sense because as individuals, we all know certain big brands and we all know what these brands stand for, how they have delivered value to customers, right? For example, if Tata comes up with some other new name, probably you may have inhibitions. But the moment you know that it is a Tata product, then you don't have any inhibitions to buy it because you have already formed perceptions about brand Tata in your mind. You have already perceived Tata as a reliable, trustworthy brand. So that's the positioning what you have about Tata's brand image in your mind. So if Tata comes up with any product, you don't have a second thought about buying Tata's product because Tata is already well established, well recognized, trusted brand, a popular brand in every Indian family, right? So you don't have any inhibition. It so happened I was able to just recall an incident which happened a couple of years back when me and my friend, after finishing class, we went to a bakery to have a cup of tea there. And my friend did get attracted to a blue color biscuit packet. So he asked the bakery guy to give that. And after looking at the biscuit packet, he said, okay, no, I don't want this local. So give me something else. So he was not sure of the brand at that time. That time the brand was just very new to Indian market. So he said, no, no, I don't want some local brand like this. So give me some other thing. So he was referring Oreo as a local brand because he wasn't sure that Oreo, I mean, all of you are aware of this brand now, but at that time when it was recently launched, people weren't aware that it's a brand of Cadbury. So the moment I said, no, no, it's not a local brand, it is owned by Cadbury. So he said, okay, then it's fine, I'll eat it. So this incident tells you that how we people trust the family branding. The moment we know that, the moment he got to know that it is a Cadbury product, he had no second thought about consuming that product. But initially he felt Oreo was some other local brand. So he had some inhibitions. So that's the magic. That's the benefit when you use corporate identity because corporate identity is far more stronger and superior. So people don't have second thought about buying the product. So that's the whole rationality behind implementing corporate brands. So by implementing corporate brand strategy, a marketer increases awareness about a particular product and creates brand recognition for that product. And if the customer likes a specific product or of the marketer, they may seek out the brand name when they buy other products. So initially, when you establish a strong corporate identity, right? In the near future, in case if you launch new products also, you wouldn't mind, right? So in case in the future, if you want to, right, enroll your probably children, so you already know that St. Joseph is already a brand. So St. Joseph need not, right, have, in case if St. Joseph comes up with another brand, probably you might have some hesitation, okay, because you might not know the history behind the brand. But in case if St. Joseph's continues to come up with new educational institutions with the same brand name, St. Joseph's, then probably you don't have such inhibition because you know that it is already an established brand. So that's the rationality of having same corporate identity for all the products. Now, corporate branding has some serious limitations also. And because of these limitations, probably you have to focus on the alternative branding strategy, individual branding strategy. Now, what happens in corporate identity, even though you are labeling the same corporate identity for all your products, which actually helps the customers to easily recognize the brand by associating it with the corporate identity. But there are challenges. Challenges is that if you keep same identity for all your products, the problem is when you're offering a wide range of similar kind of products, it becomes very difficult to communicate the attributes, the features of the products. You will not be able to identify, you will not be able to communicate the unique aspects of a product. So that's the challenge, right? So issues like this will come. So corporate branding might work for certain things, but for not all. Imagine if Tata, since we were discussing Tata as an example of corporate branding, has at least 30 varieties of noodles, or if Tata has 30 varieties of shampoos, then it becomes challenging. So how will you communicate what each variant stands for when you just say Tata shampoo? So you just by enabling Tata shampoo, you will not be able to communicate the unique attributes of the product to the customers. So when you have individual branding, it becomes very easy for a marketer to give identity for each product, communicate that identity, communicate the features, attributes associated with each product becomes easier with individual branding, something which is not possible with the help of corporate branding. Now, Hindustan Unilever, or just the Unilever Limited, which is a renowned brand across the globe, one of the leading fast-moving consumer goods companies, has big portfolio of soaps, right? So one of its brand is known as Dove. It also has Lux. It has Lifebuoy. It has Pears. It has Little. It has Hammam. It has Rexona. Right. This is just a few names which I've just mentioned. They have more than this. So in case if Hindustan Unilever, just imagine Hindustan Unilever follows, of course, individual branding. But in case if they just say for all soaps, if they label it as Hindustan Unilever or Unilever soap, how will they communicate the essential features of each soap? How will they communicate the distinctiveness, the difference? Now in individual branding, it becomes very easy to communicate this. For example, Dove, all of us know what's the difference between Dove and Lux. Dove, the positioning, the way the brand is being positioned by Hindustan Unilever in the minds of consumers like you is simple. The Dove is a soap for beautiful skin. With Dove, women can experience the real difference by realizing their personal beauty potential by creating products that can deliver real skincare. So that's the positioning statement of Dove. And Dove is also known as a soap which does not have any harmful chemicals. So it is quite gentle on the skin. It's quite skin friendly. It nourishes the skin. That is how we are being uh, communicated, right? And in fact, since Dove became a well-recognized brand as a brand which is known for skin-friendly product, a brand for skincare, that's one of the reasons why Hindustan Unilever decided to launch its range of baby products under the brand name Dove. So Dove also has the baby care segment. So Dove competes with the likes of Johnson and Johnson and other brands. So Dove was chosen as a brand when Unilever decided to launch the range of personal care products for babies. So just imagine how Dove has established itself as a unique brand meant for skincare. Then comes your another brand, Lux. So how is Lux different from Dove? Even though it's the same company that makes it, Unilever makes both Lux and Dove. So in case if it does not have this individual brands, it becomes quite challenging. So that's what I'm trying to make a point here. So what does Dove and what does Lux? So Dove represents a soap, a beauty bar for gentle and nourishing skin. On the other hand, Lux is an iconic beauty bar used by most beautiful and iconic film stars of the world. So it's a beauty bar used by the film stars themselves. So Lux encourages women to express their beauty by giving them $1 million feeling every time they use one of the Lux exquisite products. Now, yeah, of course, Lux is a beauty bar used by the film stars themselves, and that's one of the reasons why in most of the Lux ads we do see a celebrity using the beauty bar. So the company is trying to communicate somehow in the minds of the consumers that if you use Lux Beauty Bar, you will also become like a film star in terms of beauty, right? So, I mean, yeah, these ads sometimes are misleading and subjective, but let's not discuss those aspects that we will discuss a little later. So unethical practices, yeah, they do exist in marketing. I mean, first of all, how do you define beauty? That itself is subjective because most of the brands have brainwashed us saying that if you're looking fair, if you have white skin, you're beautiful. That's how most of the brands try to communicate. And they have been doing this stereotyping for a very long time in India. right? So yes, let's talk about those aspects a little later, but let's focus on the distinctiveness, right? So Dove is a beauty bar used by the film stars themselves. Then what about Lifebuoy? So Lifebuoy is a germ protection soap. Look at the identity. Lifebuoy, in simple words, is a germ protection soap. So if I keep all the three soaps name as Unilever, I will not be able to communicate this distinctiveness. That's the reason individual brands seems to be a better option, especially for fast moving consumer goods or any company which has a wide range of product portfolio. And then you have another popular brand of Unilever, Pears. So Pears is also a very good recognized brand. And what does Pears stands for? What is its positioning statement? So Pears is being positioned as pure and gentle for skin. So Pears keeps your skin soft and smiling with innocence. Okay, so it is so pure that you can actually see through it. So most of the Pears soaps, as you're aware, they are kind of a transparent in nature, so you can see what's there inside. I mean, it's transparent in nature. So that's what Pears positioning statement is. It's pure and gentle for the skin. Next, you also have Little soap. So the positioning statement of Little soap is simple. It is a soap which is meant for clean, fresh, and full of live skin. And time and again, Little has been new launched with some additional attributes, but that has been the positioning statement that it is a soap for cleanliness, for refreshing freshness. And then you have Hammam soap. So the statement is clear. It is a mild family soap. It's a soap meant for family. So the soap is made with local ingredients. So it's a natural soap which give effective protection from skin problems like rashes, pimples, prickly heat, body odor, etc. So that's the description of its positioning statement. Then you also have Rexona. Rexona is known for its aromatic fragrance, which Indian women like. So Rexona's irresistible, silky, soft skin and lingering aromatic fragrance position has been an important aspect from a very long time since the soap was launched. So now you see there is, of course, a lot of difference between corporate branding and individual branding. So individual branding refers to use of unique brand name for each product offered by the marketer in order to provide a separate image and identity. So individual branding offers a better way to establish different features and appeal to different buying motives by doing a better job of communicating clearly and precisely what consumer can expect from the product. So somebody who wants germ protection, killing of germs can buy Lifebuoy. So somebody who would want to be as beautiful as the Bollywood stars can buy Lux. Somebody who wants a pure and gentle soap can buy Pears. So somebody who likes fragrance can buy Rexona. So there is a clear distinction. So the customer has a wide ambit of choice that you get to pick what you like. So that's what an individual branding is. Now you also have multi-branding. So let's see what it is. So multi-branding refers to use of brand names for two or more mutually competing products offered by the same company. So what it means is that sometimes each brand offered by the same marketer may even compete with each other, right? So for example, Head and Shoulders, Pantene, Voila, all these are brand owned by Procter and Gamble. And the objective of opting for multi-branding strategies to create an internal competition to promote efficiency and to differentiate its offering to different market segments. So what happens in individual branding, oh, sorry, in multiple branding is that basically you're creating a wide range of products. And in this wide range of products, you have multiple variants under each segment. So in this example, Head and Shoulder. So Head and Shoulder itself is an individual brand, no doubt about it. But within this individual brand itself, there are multiple variants. So Head and Shoulder for dandruff, Head and Shoulder for dry hair with dandruff, Head and Shoulder for thin hair with dandruff, Head and Shoulder for silky hair and also removal of dandruff. You look at the depth. In each individual brand, there is a depth, right? And similarly, again, when we are talking about all these brands, whether it is Vela, Pantene, or Head and Shoulders, all these are shampoo brands. But again, when we say Pantene, look at the depth. So even though each brand has its individual identity, but under each brand, there are multi-level of products which are being offered to cater to different needs of the customers. So this is what multi-branding represents. Multi-branding represents wide range of width and depth offered under an individual brand. Then you also have something known as the range branding, which is popularly used by a lot of cosmetic brands. So range branding refers to use of different ranges of products, in effect creating a family of products offered by a company. A very good example of this is Lakme, owned by again Hindustan Unilever. And when we say Lakme, Lakme is a brand. But what are the things offered under the umbrella of Lakme? Under Lakme, you have complete range of cosmetic products, whether it is for eyes, whether it is for nose, whether it is for cheeks, whether it is for lips, whether it is for hair. You have the complete range for your personal care. So this range is the emphasis here in the range branding. So range brands bestow a single brand name and promote through a single promise a range of products belonging to the same area of competence. So when we say same area of competence, in this example, as I did mention, cosmetics. So this is what range branding is all about. Now, private branding is a brand which is created by the seller, not by the manufacturer. That's how simply it can be defined as. So it is not created by the manufacturer, but it is created by the seller. Sometimes it is also created by the reseller. So it all depends. So in other words, in simple words, it is a seller's brand. Sometimes it is also known as a store brand because the person who sells it in the store puts that brand name, right? So when you go to Reliance Fresh, you will find they have their own private brand. So that private brand is owned by Reliance. When you go to Spar, right, they have their own brand name called Easy. So they sell most of the products under this brand name. So they don't make the product, they give outsourcing contract, and the contractor or the manufacturer makes the product and puts their brand name. So this is called private branding. Some of you do buy merchandise on Myntra. So Myntra has a lot of private brands. So whether it is Roadster or so many other, most of the brands on Myntra are actually private brands. Myntra's own brands. So that's what private brand means. Then you also have generic brand or generic branding, which involves selling of product without a brand name. So you don't have to have a brand name at all. And we do buy a lot of things in our routine day-to-day life, which does not have any brand name at all. For example, most of you don't know which brand of broomstick is being used in your home for cleaning. We don't even bother also because that's not important to us, right? So they are called generic brand, right? Which brand of towel do you use? Nobody knows. Which brand of bread do you use? Nobody knows. Nobody bothers. Which brand of chicken do you use? Again, not important, right? So these are called generic brands. So each of these has its own merits and demerits. So depending on the requirements of the marketer, depending on the customer perception, a brand has to carefully decide which strategy should be used and executed, right? So these are the different brand strategies that are available.